Hear me out. Me too. I gave this 5 stars 8 years ago, but I read it today as an adult and it's 1 star. Like, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to lie to you? Because too bad. It needs to be said that 2021 is not a great reading year so far. Now, it's great in terms of books read. It is January 13th right now, or 14th, and I have read 14 books. But I think 4 or 5 of them were 1 star. And I think last year I only gave out like 6 1 stars for the whole year. So there's that. Editing Katie here to jump in and say that I forgot to tell you what this book was about, even though I'm pretty sure you all already know. But in short, I'll say that it's about Augustus Waters and Hazel, and they both have cancer and they're in different stages. So in the beginning of the book, Augustus is in remission from having osteosarcoma, in which he lost his leg. And then Hazel has lung cancer and she is terminal. So they're just extending her life, but she's going to die. They meet in a cancer support group, and it's all about them falling in love and what it means to love someone who is sick, and also what it means to love someone you know is going to die. So falling in love with somebody who is not going to live out the rest of your life with you. Great concept. Just didn't like the writing. This book is actually the starting off point for my reading rewind for 2021, in which every month I'm going to pick a book that I have not read for a bare minimum of 3 years, though mainly it's going to consist of books I haven't read for 5 to 10 years. So The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, Carry On by Rainbow Rowell, The Monsters of Verity duology by Victoria Schwab, just books that maybe I've aged out of that age bracket or that mentality, and if I go back and reread them, I might have completely different ideas, which obviously I did about this book. So I want to go back, touch on those, see if they're still favorites, see if I still want to keep them. And also, Grace has picked up quite a few of these from local thrift stores, and she wanted to buddy read them with me. Now, she did just finish today as well, The Fault in Our Stars, and she gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And I gave it 1 out of 5. So we had very different opinions, but that's to go to show you that everybody has their own opinion. So if you don't agree with my opinions, that is totally fine. Like, please comment down below what your opinions are. Challenge me on my opinions. Like, it's all an open discussion. My opinion is not the only one that matters, okay? So if you want to discuss it with me, please do. And also, Grace, if you're watching, do not worry. I respect your opinion, and please don't make this, like, don't let this sully you on any of our future buddy reading, okay? I'm sorry. Listen, if you're remembering this book fondly, if it's on your favorite shelf, if you gave it 5 out of 5 stars in 2012, me too, okay? But reread it and then tell me I'm being too harsh. Reread this book as an adult and then tell me I'm wrong. If you're offended, do the research, then come back and we can square up. Little disclaimer, there are parts of this book that are good. There are parts of this book that I enjoyed. There is really funny dialogue between the mom and Hazel, between Hazel and Isaac, between Isaac and Augustus, but it's sandwiched between the cringiest dialogue in literary history between Augustus and Hazel. Like, oh my God, I wanted to vomit. Also, this book is incredibly sad. It is. Like, even if you hate this book, it's sad. Like, there are parts in this, even though I was having a horrible time reading it, horrible, that I found very sad, that would like make me tear up. But I didn't like the book, and I don't think that, okay, just because a book makes you cry doesn't mean it's a good book, you know? Page 13, horrible, oh my God. When they meet for the first time at this cancer group, okay, in the literal heart of Jesus. That was funny. The literal heart of Jesus, loved that. And the counselor or whatever, the dude Patrick, hilarious, savage, loved it. But when Augustus says his fear is oblivion, and then when he's asked to describe what that means, and he doesn't, and Hazel jumps in like, look at me, I understand you. And she says, listen, she says, there will come a time when all of us are dead, all of us. There will come a time when there's no human beings remaining to remember that anyone ever existed or that our species ever did anything. There will be no one left to remember Aristotle or Cleopatra, let alone you. Everything that we did and built and wrote and thought and discovered will be forgotten, and all of this will have been for naught. For naught? She's 16! Maybe that time is coming soon, and maybe it is millions of years away, but even if we survive the collapse of our sun, we will not survive forever. There was time before organisms experienced consciousness, and there will be time after. And if the inevitability of human oblivion worries you, I encourage you to ignore it. God knows that everyone else does. What? Is John Green, is he really expecting me to believe that a 16-year-old just talks like that? Like, she didn't practice that. That's just how she thinks and how she talks. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't. I don't care if he says that for the past, like, couple years she's just been, like, sitting at home waxing poetic. I still don't believe you, okay? And she is the definition of I'm not like other girls. And, oh, she is, because listen to how Augustus responds. My God, okay. Augustus's face, not the little crooked smile of the boy trying to be sexy while he stared at me, but his real smile, too big for his face. God damn, Augustus said quietly, aren't you something else? The absolute cringe. Like, that, it's disgusting. Like, okay. All John Green does is the I'm not like other girls trope and the manic pixie dream girl. And it's usually like a sad, lonely boy that likes video games wanting a fun, frantic, but actually depressed girl. That's like all he writes about. And here's the thing. Also, I want to disclaim that I think John Green is an incredible person. Him and Hank Green, so cool, so fun, so fresh. Love it. Love them, but I hate his books. Both of them. Hate both their books. Can't. Won't. I've read a lot of them. Don't like them. Anyway, the whole I'm not like other girls thing is so disgusting. And then there's a part where he asks her what her hobbies are. And she says reading. He's like, what do you read? She lists a bunch of things, but one of them's poetry. And he goes, oh, really? Do you like writing poetry? She says no. And then he responds with, oh my God, see, you're so special because every other teenage girl in America or in the world likes writing poetry, but none of them read it. So you're different. What? What? Because before that, she says that she reads like really like steamy romance and like trashy romance, but he doesn't comment on that because that's not different. He comments on, I can just read poetry. Oh, do you write it? No. Oh, well then you're not like other girls. I'm like, I can't. So Hazel's putting on a dress to meet Augustus, okay? And it's a sundress and it's a little tight. Just a little bit, and it says that you can like kind of see her rib cage, or like no, not her rib cage, but that it's like a little bit more form fitting around a rib cage. Okay, it says the sundress offered the most in the way of my rib cage and collarbone that Augustus had seen. It wasn't obscene or anything, but it was as close as I ever got to showing some skin. My mother had a motto on this front that I agreed with: Lancasters don't bear midriffs. What in the slut shame fuck was that? What? Like, okay, she's really, it wasn't obscene or anything. It's a sundress, and you're saying that it, like, was a little, like, you could see your collarbone? Oh, but it wasn't obscene. Lancasters don't show their midriffs. I was like, I mean, I know that in 2012, crop tops, like, weren't as much of a thing as they are now, but, like, what? Like, what? The midriff. Anybody that says the word midriff, that's a no. That's a hard no. I know that everybody... My ring just flew into my plant. You know? I should just leave it there and see if it grows something. Anyway, the cigarette thing. I know that I'm not the only person that thinks this. I know that even people that love this book thinks that that is like the stupidest thing in the world. But the whole, oh my God, the cigarette, when he's like, I put the killing thing between my lips, but don't give it the power to kill me. Guy, did you just hear what I said? Because I wanted to vomit saying it. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And also, can I say the word pretentious again? Because, oh my God, it's horrible. And I swear to God, when they're on the plane and he puts the cigarette in his mouth and the flight attendant says he can't do that, and then instead of him saying anything, Hazel's like, it's a metaphor. I was like, bitch, are you yelling at a flight attendant right now because he put a cigarette in his mouth? Like, you're on a plane. You're on a plane. You can't do that. You can't do that. Like, what? There's a part where the word awesome sauce is used, and I'm just going to leave that there because it doesn't need any explanation. Something I've never heard anybody comment on, but has always, even when I read it 8 years ago, hated, but I don't get why people don't talk about, is her friend Caitlin. Okay, so Caitlin comes up Okay. Darling, she said, vaguely British. How are you? People didn't find the accent odd or off-putting. Caitlin just happened to be an extremely sophisticated 25-year-old British socialite stuck inside a 16-year-old body in Indianapolis. Everyone accepted it. Okay, and this is brought up a couple times in the book. Her friend Caitlin is 16 years old and pretending to be posh British. What? She's pretending to be British and nobody says anything about it. Like, it is pretty clearly stated that she's not actually British and she's just pretending to be. She's 16. Like, if you told me like a 13-year-old was doing that, I'd be like, yeah, that's dumb, but okay, you're just an idiot. But she's 16 and rich. So like, what? And she says things like, oh my God, wasn't it just delectable? Or, oh my God, aren't these boys just edible? I was like, this, everything seems to be the cringiest thing, but it's just that they're all cringe. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Augustus half smiled. Because you're beautiful. I enjoy looking at beautiful people, and I decided a while ago not to deny myself the simple pleasures of existence. I mean, particularly given that, as you so deliciously pointed out, all of this will end in oblivion and everything. Are there, like, people reading this and thinking that's hot? Because it's, like, not. There's a point where Augustus is watching an action movie on the plane, and he looks over at her, and he's like, sorry, I was awash in the nobility of sacrifice. He's 17. Okay, he's watching an action movie and he's just like, oh my God, dead bodies. But then all of a sudden wants to be Winston Churchill. Like, no. Let's talk about the author, okay? Van Houten. He doesn't owe Hazel anything. He does not owe her anything. And she is out there banging on his door, demanding answers, acting like she wants to know about Sisyphus the hamster. She wants to know about what happened to this freaking girl's mom in a book that came out whoever freaking knows how many years ago. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you doing? You're traveling to Amsterdam to ask this guy questions about a book that's been published for so long. And it's like, he doesn't owe you anything. He doesn't. And when she's so mad, like, you're such a letdown. Like, you're a horrible person. It's like, what? That made me really mad. I'm like, this guy wrote a book and you're saying that he has to have every answer to every single question you have as a viewer, like as a reader? No. One, imagination. Like, do you have any? Do you have any imagination? Like, no. Well then, you can't be helped then, okay? And also, Van Houten being a raging alcoholic and like pretty much a piece of shit. And then his assistant, who apparently had been working there for a long time, just dramatically exiting. Like, all of a sudden she's fed up with him. Like, she's the one that invited these kids there, okay? She's the one who did that. And then she didn't think he was going to freak out. Like, what did she think? That he was going to see two cancer-ridden kids and all of a sudden be a good person when his daughter died of cancer? I was like, this assistant has got me fucked up, for starters. Why would you invite two children who have cancer to your boss's house without him knowing whose kid died of cancer? That seems rough to me. Seems rough. And then she, of course, takes the moral high ground and is like, I'm quitting, and literally just like dramatically flips her hair and leaves. When Van Houten showed up at Augustus's funeral, what? Like, it's not that John Green made him like seem like he was a good person for doing that, which thank God. But when he was in the back of Hazel's mom's car, when she got in, she should have called the freaking police. She should have called the police. Oh my God. He's an old, drunk, like, has-been psycho. Like, he's a psycho. Like, he traveled from Amsterdam, and she said that it had been a week since a funeral, and he was wearing the same clothes. You got me fucked up. So Monica is Isaac's girlfriend, and Isaac is sick and he has eye cancer. So he has already had one eye removed and he's getting another eye removed and he's going to be blind. And Monica breaks up with him before he has a surgery because she says she can't handle it. And he's really upset about that. And Hazel says, yeah, I don't think she could handle it. And he's like, well, it wasn't nice. And she's like, well, what you're doing to her isn't nice. He's like, what do you mean, going blind? She says, yes. And Isaac's like, well, I couldn't help that. And Hazel says, yeah, I understand that, but it's still not a nice thing. And I loved that depiction. That was so good because it's like, yeah, she couldn't handle it. Like, it's not like Monica was like, ew, you're sick, gross. She's like, I can't do that. Like, I cannot deal with that. And we're too young. Like, we're not married or whatever. Like, I have to just, I can't. And yeah, it's not a nice thing to hear, but it is the truth. And Monica didn't lie to him and stay with him, even though she couldn't handle it or didn't want to be with him. And I think that that is the right thing to do. But then they flip it on its head and then they go and freaking egg Monica's car. Like, what? And like egging somebody's car, I think that in the book, like when you're younger and you're reading that, you don't understand how detrimental that is and how horrible it is, because if you egg somebody's car, it like erodes the paint of their car, and it literally, once you egg somebody's car, like you're effed. Like the car's messed up. Like you're gonna have to have it like rewrapped or something, and it's just not good. And the fact that we don't even see Monica, and it's like, I don't know, it just, we're really meant to villainize her, I think, and I don't think that's how it should have been depicted. I wish that he had leaned into what Hazel said, which was like, yeah, I get it, but you shouldn't ask her to stay with you regardless of her feelings. You know what I'm saying? One more time with feeling. John Green, cool dude. Didn't enjoy his books. This is random, but Augustus's parents being like not a part of the story was very odd. And the fact that he went on this trip even though he was like terminal, he was full of cancer, but then they told Hazel she couldn't go unless there was somebody that went with her that knew the ins and outs of her medication and of her cancer, but then just let Augustus do whatever he wanted, even though he's 17, not 18. And then his parents let him go. Oh my God, if I was that kid's parents, I would have been like, absolutely not. Because they knew he was going to die. They knew it. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but that just seemed a little like crazy. I feel like there are so many more things that I could say. There are so many quotes that I could read you that I absolutely cringe so hard at. There's also a lot of quotes that I did really like that I could read you, but I'm going to end this here. I just feel like I've been ranting, and it's probably not good for the vibes, you know? It's not good for like my mentality to just be raging. So I'm gonna end it here. I'm gonna thank you for watching. I hope that I did not offend you. I hope that you understand that this is just my opinion. It's just my opinion, you know what I'm saying? And if you want me to do these like reading rewind wrap up or whatever for each month talking about the book, then let me know. If there's any books you want me to read for these little reading rewinds, let me know. If you want to follow me on Goodreads or Instagram, I'll have that link down below. If you don't hate me and you want to subscribe to this channel, you totally could. I understand if you don't, that's totally fine. And have an amazing night, and I will see you soon in another video. Bye.